with Comedy. We are live throughout the country and throughout the world. I am your host, the real deal, Joel Davis, former professional wrestler, MMA fighter, motivational speaker, two-time guest on the Jerry Springer Show, currently podcaster, stand-up comedian, and promoter. What a show we have here for you tonight. Thank you all for joining us. Wrestling with Comedy, episode 55. He's back. He's returning by popular demand. On a part two, our guest tonight is a former professional wrestling manager, also a professional wrestling referee, all through the 90s into the early 2000s. A great career he has had. He's still involved with professional wrestling, studying the sport as it is today, and there's talk of a possible one-night comeback and manage a champion once again. He's a 2013 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer. He made it into the Hall for all his contributions into the sport of professional wrestling. He's known for so much, as known as the Mr. 123, the man that calls it like he sees it. He's also known for the big main event match that he refereed back in the day, went into the ring, never complained. No one even knew except his family that he had a broken ankle, tipping the scales well over 300 pounds. Got in the ring. He was the third man in the ring, not to disappoint the fans and the promoter. He refereed a main event match with Samu, the Wild Samoan 3, versus the late, great King Kong Bundy. This man here was the third man in the ring. Back in 1999, he was on the Jerry Springer Show back in the hot era. Flew out to Chicago, Illinois, and had a great spot on the show on Springer. Let's welcome back to Wrestling with Comedy. Here he is, Peter B., better known in the manager role as Steak Daddy. Welcome, brother.
Hey, bro, what's happening?
It's happening, brother. You already have people saying, hooray, let's get started. Steak Daddy's back. Let's go. Hall of Fame by Robbie Janinski. DJ Robbie Fresh is saying that to you right now. The numbers are up. Thank you for joining us. Steak Daddy, you've had such a great career. We needed to have you back for a part two. Part one was action packed. We talked a little bit about your career as a manager and as also a referee in professional wrestling. Steak Daddy, the people always wanted to know, and we had some questions after part one about, let's start up with this, brother. How was it, how difficult was it, and what did you do to basically make the transition from a pro wrestling referee into a professional wrestling heel manager? What did you do, and what was the difference?
Well, I mean, the big difference, was the physical aspect of it, because with the refereeing, you're constantly up and down on the mat, counting the pinfalls and things like that. And you're basically just trying to stay out of the way of the two guys in the ring, or more if it's a tag team match. But as a manager, your job is a lot different because you're outside the ring, and while you're paying attention to what's going on in the ring, your focus is actually on the audience, because you're trying, you're working on the crowd psychology. You're just working, you're trying to get the crowd to really, as a heel manager, my job is to get that audience to really boo and really hate my wrestler that's in the ring.
Yes. Yes, so and what you had done is you were successful in both roles, Pete, which wasn't easy to do. And refresh our listeners, what year did you break in the sport again?
I first started in 96.
1996, and you ran all the way till
my last official match. Every wrestler has that last official match.
Yeah.
that was 2010, because I had my first heart surgery. And 6 weeks after my first heart surgery, I did my last match. I did do one more show 2 years later. It was a memorial show for one of my fellow Hall of Fame inductees.
That's wonderful, Pete. So you had a 14-year career nonstop. And who was that inductee that you did the memorial show for?
Mark Basil, he was his real name. He worked as Marcus O. Middleton.
Yes, yes, I do recall that name. He was another mainstay in the New England area, and I was told very well liked. I never worked with him, but he passed away at a young age. That was great that you did that memorial, show for him. You have another listener. You always did a great job being the heel manager, Pete. So that's somebody coming in right now with that one. So that means that
it just came natural.
It just can't. But I've known you for decades, brother. You're a close friend of mine, and we are like family. And I know that that's really not you, but you can really play that heel when you need to play that heel. I want to show the audience and the viewers tonight on the podcast, Wrestling with Comedy, episode 55, a couple classic photos. Here's a photo of you, Pete. Back in the day, this was back at a NWA event. It was way back in the day, sometime in the 90s, and there you are shaking hands. I'm in the photo with you, and in the middle is a man named Joe. He was coming and he was going to become the Beast. He never became a pro wrestler, but he had a lot of stories to tell. If you do remember him, we're going to talk a little bit about him. And the other photo here is from Brooklyn, New York. It was a Total Battle Fitness grand opening for the AWA, and it was a huge, huge, huge event. Thousands of people. The Rocky Maivia was there that night doing an interview to start the show up. And right there in a side headlock, I have, that's Real Deal Joel Davis versus Chris Blackheart. And the third man in the ring, there you are, referee Peter B. checking for the chokehold. Big, big, big show. Brother, let's start with the first photo. Do you remember the man that wanted to be in pro wrestling but never got in? Big Joe?
Well, I still have that photograph actually. So I mean, when I come across it, I go, "Oh, there's Joe." But I haven't heard, seen, like that picture was probably the last time I saw the guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless he might have been at one of your birthday parties or
Yeah.
something like.
Yeah.
But yeah. Let's put it this way. Joe and I didn't hang out a lot.
That's funny shit. That's funny shit. And going to the second photo, Pete, what can you tell our audience on Wrestling with Comedy about getting in the ring with such a big show like that with the AWA, basically stepping in the ring right after The Rock did the interview? And did you pass The Rock going from and to the ring? And what do you remember that match with myself versus Chris Blackheart?
Oh, I mean, that whole show was just kind of like a whirlwind for me. 'Cause I had my family with me there, and, so my kids were all excited that they got to see The Rock, and, the wife was really overcome with the heat.
That was how long did the travel take to get out there to Brooklyn, New York?
I think that was probably about a 3.5, 4 hour trip.
One way, that's right. A lot of
Yeah,
traffic, yep.
yeah. So, but that show, was that was a fun experience. There were a couple of guys from up here that had actually gone down for the show too. I remember like Apocalypse was there, so there was a couple of guys that I was familiar with, of course, yourself and Chris Blackheart. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking that was before, well, obviously before I was Steak Daddy. So it was kind of interesting that I would end up managing him to a tag team championship later on.
Yeah, man, it's so interesting how pro wrestling pans out. You never know what it's going to happen. Such an
Yep.
interesting business and sport. And like we said at the start of episode 55 here tonight, part two, this, if you just joined us, Steak Daddy, known as Steak Daddy in the ring as a manager of champions, also was a referee prior to being a manager, known as Peter B, Mr. 123, made his own merchandise, sold the buttons to the other brothers and sisters in pro wrestling, anybody that was a worker. He had his own merchandise, very creative, had his button machine, and made the buttons, and you had the $500 bill. Did you enjoy making the merchandise?
Ah, yeah, the merch was fun. I remember when I first decided to make a button, for my character. I was racking my brain as to what to do, and I came up with a button design where I'm wearing the ref shirt, but I got dark sunglasses and a blind man's cane, and of
Oh, yeah.
course the slogan was Peter B 123. I call it like I see it.
Wow. That's
And somebody came up to the souvenir stand, and they're looking at the button. They went, "That button's offensive." And I said, "To who?" And they said, "Blind people." I said, "Blind people can't see it."
dry humor. That's Peter B. He's always been like that. And, it's actually, something that you've always been known for, Pete. We were great friends right from the beginning. And, you broke right in. I remember driving up there with you and introducing you to Walter, the late, great Walter Killer Kowalski. Mm-hmm. And you stuck with it. And you were known around the ring and around the locker room. I don't know if you know this, but I'm going to tell you right now and tell the viewers and listeners right now. And hundreds of people will watch the replay. And there's quite a few people here watching us live. You were known as Mr. Dependable. I mean, if Peter B was booked as a referee, you were there regardless of what the situation was. I want to talk a little bit about that main event, Samu, which was Wild Samoan 3. He came in with Albano way back in the 80s. He was related to Offer and Sika Ione. He came in as the third Samoan, a well-known pro wrestler, big name. Got into the Hall of Fame in 2011 in New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame, and he looked across the ring against the late, great King Kong Bundy. And what can you say about Bundy? I mean, he wrestled Hulk Hogan, the late, great Hulk Hogan in WrestleMania 2 in the cage. What was it like being in the ring with those two legends and with the broken ankle? How did you deal with that?
Oh, well, Bundy was actually the first main event that I ever refereed. Way back, like the first year I was in the business. So I had worked with Bundy before. That was my first time with Samu. And being in the ring with the two of them, and I believe it was Alpha was on the outside of the ring.
Oh, wow. Alpha was managing. Wow.
Yeah. And so, as a fan, I was absolutely, in my glory. Of course, as a worker, you're just doing your job, but I know that I'm in the ring with, three top pros.
That's right.
So the ankle wasn't even a factor because, once you step through those ropes, that all disappears.
Yes.
But that whole match, that I was just, having a ball until I, fast counted Bundy and screwed him over. Then it was just a run for my life.
With the broken ankle, run for your life.
Yeah.
Now, Pete, was that what state and city was that in? Was that a sold out show? I'm sure it was. And someone saying icons, correct? They are icons.
I have. I couldn't even tell you where that was.
Do you remember the audience? Was it a big audience for that main event?
Huge audience. Place was packed. For some reason, I want to say it might have been like UMass
Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Yeah. So that makes sense because there was some indie shows out there back in those days. Definitely icons. You got people here asking questions. Someone's asking, we did talk about it in part one, but someone asked, please ask Peter B. who got him started in professional wrestling?
Well,
I mean,
the guy who got me into the business, he's, washed up wrestler now. Last I heard, he was like doing club dates as a comedian and hosting a podcast.
Oh, shit. That's funny stuff. That's funny stuff. Yeah, so just so if you're wondering, audience, yes, I am the one that broke Peter B. and actually basically gave him the way to where to go, and he just took the ball and ran with it, so to speak. He did everything else on his own, and I'm so glad that I helped him out because he was one of those guys that wanted to get into professional wrestling and actually paid his dues, put the time into it, and didn't quit, and became a Hall of Famer in 2013. I need to talk about this because it's something that the people want to hear, and and I know you are always known to tell some of the best stories, Pete. Also known as Steak Daddy. You really do tell the stories that are so hilarious and entertaining. And I need to hear your insight on this. I'm going to set up the scenario. Let's go back to the 1990s. We're talking mid to late 1990s. The state is New York, but it's Osdenburg, New York. It's right on the line of Canada. I mean, you're already starting to giggle with, you already know the chuckle, but you already probably know where I'm going with this. But I'm going to put the scenario out here for the people. This is a one-road story that a lot of people never heard, and they're going to hear for the first time on Wrestling with Comedy. Absolutely hilarious, and this goes behind the scenes, people, on what happens in professional wrestling, especially back in the heyday in the 90s when the indie scene was so hot. Pete, you were driving the van. You had your van back then. You were driving up there. We were driving back from Osdenburg, New York, which was a double-digit hours. As far as I remember, that might have been 10, 11 hours coming back. And we were driving back in your van. And in the vehicle, you were driving. I was in the vehicle with you. You also had Bull Montana, Ronnie DiStefano, which is his real name, Ronnie DiStefano, Ringo, Bull Montana, myself, Peter B, Steak Daddy, Outpatient, who's Jeremy Carter. Outpatient was in there. And also James Jim Allen, who's Trooper Gilmore, who I gave the nickname Troop to, and OP, I gave him that nickname OP too, just for the record. And those guys are in the vehicle, and also some ring announcer, some scrawny weasel ring announcer was in the van. All of us were in the van. We're driving back, and we stopped at a service area off the highway to be able to get gassed up or whatever, get some food. And we met someone called the Magic Man. I don't know if you remember this man, a tall, thin man with a top hat and a tie-dye shirt. And he took a photo with all of us. We took a photo out there. And then for some reason, I believe Bull Montana didn't get back in the van, got a ride from somebody at that area, that service area. But then we go to another area, and I still remember it like it was yesterday. It's absolutely hilarious. We go to another area. You're driving. You were so good at ribbon. I was in the passenger side. In the back was OP, Jeremy Carter, the scrawny ring announcer, and Trooper Gilmore. They're in the back of the van. We're driving back, and the ring announcer, I believe it was the ring announcer. Yeah, it was the ring announcer. He needed to take a leak, and we stop in this big parking lot. So he gets out on the side door. Your door slid on the back there. He jumps out, and I tell you, I said, Pete, every time he gets next to the door, hit the fucking gas. So he went to go take a leak. So he coming over to the van. Boom, you hit it. And we start pulling off, and he's screaming and yelling, stop that. So he gets right up, like, let him get right up close. He gets up close to the door. You pulled off again. We did that to him like 5, 6, 7 times. He was running around the parking lot, and, and it was just such a great rib. And meantime, back in the van, last we got back on the road, Trooper Gilmore fell asleep, and me and the Outpatient were lighting his nose hairs on fire with a lighter. Do you remember all this, brother? And tell us your part of it, what you remember.
Oh, well, I was concentrating on the road, man.
Yeah, but
I don't know what was happening behind me.
Yeah, but you remember hitting the gas when the ring announcer couldn't get to the... Yeah. So what do you remember of him chasing the vehicle, and did you hit...
Dude, the whole thing was... I wasn't really a big fan of that guy. And I was very tempted just to keep going. But, I kind of figured that somebody would have been looking for him eventually, and it's easier to just, not put yourself in that situation rather than having to answer questions later.
Yeah, and I think we were still up in New York at the time, weren't we? We were still hours away from...
Well, we we were back in Massachusetts, but we're in the far into the western part of the state at that point.
Yeah, because we had came out of Osnabrück, New York, and people, if you don't know where that is, that's on the borderline of Canada. I remember sitting on a bench after the pro wrestling show with this lovely lady named Brandy, and we were sitting out there, celebrating after the show, and we were looking up, and we could see a red light, and that was actually Canada. That's how close we were to Canada. So it was a long road trip. So yeah, so you do remember hitting the gas. The man was chasing the van. He couldn't get up to the van.
Dude, I even remember Brandy. What a fine girl. I thought that she'd make a good wife someday.
Well, we're not. That's a story for another podcast. We got DJ Robbie Fresh saying hello, Peter B. Steak Daddy. We got Bear Love Comedy. Hey, Bear Love. He's saying hello. Hey, Cameron Dewan from Fort Worth, Texas, up in here. Thank you. We do appreciate you being here, Peter B. the Steak Daddy, with these crazy and wild stories. First time heard right here on Wrestling with Comedy. Now, Peter, talk about a little bit about refereeing. I know you refereed some matches with the Pro Wrestling Midgets. And tell us about the Midgets. Did you enjoy working with them? Did you frown upon it? And do you have a story about working with midgets?
Oh, dude, the midgets, they were fun. First off, we mostly worked with the same two midgets, Tiny the Terrible and his brother Half Nelson.
Okay.
And the two of them were so much fun. Inside and outside the ring. Especially Tiny. Tiny was he was a no-nonsense guy. But my very first show that I ever did, the promoter sticks me with in the as the referee for the midget match, and anybody who's ever watched wrestling for any amount of time knows that referees don't fare well in midget matches.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Even nowadays when I watch Danhausen with the Minihausens, I have flashbacks.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, the my first match working with the midgets, I ended up getting head-butted, right in the nads.
And the nads, do you mean the midsection?
Yeah, a little lower than that.
Oh, wow, that's incredible. Yeah. Now, just so to pay respect, one of those midgets had passed away. Which one had passed away, brother?
I believe it was Half Nelson.
Yeah, they were well known for causing havoc outside the ring, and getting. I've seen them pull a lot of stunts, running from people that they owed gas money to, hiding under sinks in restaurants because they didn't want to pay. One of them, I think it might have been Tiny the Terrible. No, I think it was Half Nelson that he hit a blade that was so long. I mean, it had to be 12, 14 inches long. He had a blade under the seat driving up to Boston to a pro wrestling match. And I had asked him, what are you doing with that? He says, you never know if we're going to need it. So those guys were really known for a lot of chaos, and they were chaotic inside and outside the ring, the pro wrestling midgets. So Peter B's here tonight. He was a referee for many years. He had a 14-year career. He was not only a referee, he transitioned over, becoming a heel manager, managed some champions in the indie circuit. He was always known to be dependable. What a career he's had. I'm sure he has some great memories. He's got some great stories, and he's such a great guest to have here on Wrestling with Comedy. Peter, let me ask you a question. If for someone that you did not have a chance to manage on the indie circuit and somebody in the major leagues, who would be your selections if you could go back in time and manage somebody in their prime in the indie circuit and then manage somebody in their prime in the major leagues? Who would those two wrestlers be?
Oh, I'll tell you. For the indie circuit, because he was on the indie circuit back at the same time I was, would have been AJ Styles.
Oh, excellent. That's right.
AJ was just, in the late 60s, I mean, not late 60s, late 90s, was just starting to really make his name and, built his reputation. And I would have loved to have worked with AJ. For like current legends or
no, I mean like any legends, Pete, brother, like any legends from back in the day to current now. If you could pick one pro wrestler to manage and walk to the ring, who would that be?
Jake the Snake Roberts.
Wow, wow. I see. I had no idea you would select him. Master of Psychology, Jake the Snake
Absolutely.
Roberts, a brother of Sam Houston. Also the brother of professional woman wrestler Rockin' Robin. Yeah, Jake the Snake Roberts had some battles and still very currently was involved with the AEW. Jake the Snake Roberts still doing
Yeah.
his thing. Yeah, so those would be your selections. We really appreciate you answering those questions. We're here
It's,
every two. Go ahead, Peter.
it's funny you just brought up Sam Roberts. Um,
Well, he went by
back
Sam
in
Houston, right? Sam Houston.
Sam Houston, yeah. Back in, I think it was May or June of this year, they had Fan Fest, the New England Fan Fest.
Okay.
And I was talking to Sam Houston there.
Wow, that's great that you got a chance to meet him. I know you met some legends. I know you had met Holly Race, former NWA champion. You met him at
Yeah.
one of the Hall of Fame inductions. We're here every Tuesday night. We're here every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, with new guests, new episodes here on Wrestling with Comedy. You can tune in live and see us tonight. Another great episode. We have about 9 minutes left to the episode. Before we get to a couple of segments that we have, Mr. Steak Daddy, also known as Peter B., Mr. 123, the man that calls it like he sees it. He's refereed with some legends. He's got so many stories. He's been there, done that, so to speak, in professional wrestling. Before we get to a segment called Dealing the Names, take us a little bit through that big night, brother, 2013, when you were inducted into the New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Fame. How did you feel, and a little bit about that night?
Yeah, that just, it still blows me away. When first got the phone call from Joe Bruin saying that I was selected for induction, I asked him why.
Wow,
Yeah.
that sounds like you.
Well, the whole thing is, it's, my name isn't going on the marquee. Nobody's buying tickets to see me. You know, I'm just one of the parts of the machine. And not even like the main cog, but Joe told me that, it was my reputation for being Mr. Dependable, as
That's
you
right.
called me.
I did call you that. That's
Yeah.
right. And I got to chime in real quick, brother. You got to remember,
Yeah.
you were not only a referee, you were a heel manager for years on the circuit. The fans
Yeah.
absolutely hated you. You did your job so well. So don't, I think it was very well deserved. But getting the award and being in front of the audience, was it a great feeling? The audience wants to know.
Oh, absolutely. You're in that auditorium, and it's the people that, over your whole career that you've been in the ring with, that you traveled in the cars, all the road trip stories, the guys that were there when you got hurt, you literally blood, sweat, and tears,
Right on, brother.
and that's why wrestling is a brotherhood.
It sure is. We have something in Wrestling with Comedy. Every episode it's called Dealing the Names. And we have Peter B., also known as Steak Daddy, 2013 New England Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer here tonight live. And we got Dealing the Names. The first name on Dealing the Names for you tonight, brother, is Gary Gold.
Gary, Gary Gold. Oh, well, I worked a lot with Gary. I worked with him in the ring, and I worked for him when he was actually a promoter with UCW. So I I never had a problem with Gary, even once when he actually, in the business what they call potatoed me.
Oh, shit.
But what was funny is the day after he potatoed me, I went to where he worked. He was a bartender, and I went to where he worked. And when I walked through the door, like he went 3 shades of white, and I'm like, dude, and I just pointed, to the wound on my head. 'Cause
Yeah.
look what you did to me. And he's like, "Oh man,
Yeah.
I'm like, nah, no
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
It's just
Well,
part."
it's part of the business. Sometimes
Yeah.
your adrenaline gets going. But you got to remember too, and I'm just going to say it 'cause I say it the way it is. I love Gary, but he did have a problem with drinking. He was the manager over there at the Attleboro Moose Lodge and Attleboro Masters,
Yes.
but he had a problem drinking. I'd been in the ring with him, and I remember him being intoxicated. That's another story for another episode. We could do a whole episode on that when he took that shot at me, and I basically knocked his ass out in the ring and sent him in the ambulance because I don't play that game, and I don't know if he was drinking that night, but that's not the way to go. But it's wrestling with comedy. We're not going to get into all that, but when you say potato, so the people know what we're talking about, that means like a legit punch in the face is what Peter took from Gary Gold. We're going to move along because we're about 4 minutes and a half here. I'm just getting ready to go here. We got number 2 is Bionic Dan Bundy, now a powerlifting champion.
Great guy.
Beautiful.
Always like Dan from the first time I met him. He's just, he's the type of guy you just want to be around, hang out with.
Great way to put it.
Just good heart in that guy.
He sure is. We're about 4 minutes, Steak Daddy, so we're going to move through these names because we got finished this statement and one more question for you. The third name is the late, great Ernie, the Big Cat Ladd.
I'll never worked with him. And he was actually, his time was kind of like before my time, so don't know a lot about him, but he was quite the legend from what I hear.
He sure was. He had some battles with the late, great Andre the Giant in the WWF. He also played for the San Diego Chargers, the NFL. The number 4 name on Dealing the Names from Pennsylvania, the bodacious pretty boy, Ray Torres.
I don't know Ray other than watching footage of yours when you were in, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, you refereed a match with Ray and I out there in Attleboro Masters. You did referee that. You did a great job, and Sandy Starr was the manager of Ray Torres. You did referee one match with him, brother. He was also up here. It was a big match going on, and there was a big controversy. There was a woman that wanted to get spun around. I was spinning the woman around, and she hit a light and broke the light, and Torres got a big kick out of it. Everybody was okay, but what a fading story. Ray Torres, bodacious pretty boy. The last name on Dealing the Names here tonight on Wrestling with Comedy, episode 55. Steak Daddy's here with us tonight. Is the late, great Hulk Hogan.
Well, again, never worked with him, but I mean, Hulk is what made wrestling mainstream. It was he was like the first really big star to cross over after like Gorgeous George put pro wrestling on the map in the 50s.
Yeah, man, that's a good way to put it. It was Dealing the Names with Steak Daddy here tonight on Wrestling with Comedy. We got about 2 minutes left. Any comments or questions? Get them in here real quick. We got somebody saying, Robbie Fresh saying, 1, 2, 3's in the house. Good stuff, someone else is saying. Got to watch out for those short folks. They must mean the pro wrestling midgets, someone else is saying here, brother. Real quick, we got finished this statement, Peter B. In professional wrestling, my best moment was
the Hall of Fame induction.
Well, that makes sense, brother. And I got a question here on my notes here, Peter. I wanted to know, and I'm sure the people want to know, who was your favorite promoter to work for?
Ooh, by far, Anthony Rufo.
The late, great Anthony Rufo. What a great guy. He worked as Ali Muhammad. He teamed with Gino Martino as the Millennium Killers. He died way too young, Anthony Rufo, so he was your favorite promoter. That's great. Peter, anything you want to say to the people, any inspiration, of anybody that wants to get into professional wrestling? We've got about 1 minute, brother. You have any inspiration for anybody out there, bro?
Hey, if you have a dream, pursue it, no matter how many people tell you it ain't gonna happen.
Wow, what a way to put it. What an episode, and I can't say I'm surprised. I knew it was going to be. Peter, thank you, brother, for being back here tonight on Wrestling with Comedy. What a pleasure. Always dresses the look, always a gentleman, always a pro from the word go. It was episode 55, 2013. Hall of Famer was here tonight, referee and manager in professional wrestling, Peter B. Steak Daddy. I love you, brother. You take care of yourself, and good night, everyone. And remember, until next time, keep it real at all costs.